Buenas noches, mi gente. Buenas noches. Namaste. Here with WATERMARK PODCAST. This evening is La Margarita and
your boy, the professor, aka your brother, your cousin, and your best friend. What's good? What's going on? What's going on?
Good.
You look good.
Day. It was a good day.
Good
you
day?
too. I like your hair. I was looking at it.
You know, something for the people. You know what I'm saying? I try to come a little something for y'all. You know what I mean? The music sounds beautiful, and it's a beautiful night out tonight. If you're in a cold area and you're thinking that you should be in a warmer place, you probably should. But you're not. So we'll warm it up for you on this end and hope that you find some good vibes from what we're doing. Last week when we did the podcast, a lot of people gave us some feedback on they like the topic. They still was talking about the shyness in the bedroom thing. I got a lot of feedback from there. And so to jump on that, we did a piece on shyness in the bedroom. What up, Carmen?
Hola, Carmen.
And
thank you for coming.
Yeah, thanks for coming. Yeah, and thank you for keeping me like that. I like that. I like that you remind me that we need to thank the people for being out there, for coming, and can I like to stay humble, because when it hi beautiful.
Hello, my love. Well, yeah, because people are taking out of their time to watch us. Yeah. So.
Hey, Carmen. No. I try to start off real good in a positive mode, but people just don't seem to work with me right, and that's not really cool. But I'll go for that. And I'll go for that. And then we had the whole Growing with Purpose piece, and people really dug that, which I like that. I
got feedback.
Yeah,
I had somebody who thanked us for talking about it because they up to date don't know what their purpose is, or don't know how to go about being aware of what it is that they do that would lead them to their purpose.
Right. Let me see that piece. I like that piece that you got going on there. What is that?
It's nice. Murano glass.
Murano glass. She's wearing some jewelry, and you can't see it. She got some jewelry. It looks really funky. I like that. That's a lot. That's
real artsy piece.
That's a lot of flavor. How's the work been?
Good. It's been good. My last week on this project.
Wow. How you feel about that?
Good.
I want to thank you for the day.
Because you got to remember that for every beginning, there's an end.
Okay.
So it's in the middle that counts. And that goes for everything in life. And people only use that towards relationships.
Explain.
People who begin relationships
with
all the enthusiasm and excitement that they can muster up because they're in love, or they're starting a new chapter, and when it ends, they're shattered, they're brokenhearted, they lose themselves, they don't understand. And all that goes to say is there's always something that you can glue back together in that, and it's the memories of what happened along that journey from beginning to end. You were a witness to something that began and ended, and you can still attest to it. You still have a testimony for it.
Oh.
But people only use that saying, again, in relationships, but it's anything across the board in life. For every beginning, there's an end. You buy a new car. Like 5 years down the road, you're going to get another car. There's a beginning and an end to whatever it is that you're having, that you're experiencing in the moment. Hola, Mario. So,
what up?
So... It's life begins, right? And we talked about this when a child is born, there's a celebration, there's excitement, there's love, there's all of this. And then as you progress in life, you live through life, and that it's coming to an end, people don't know how to take it. The fear sets in, they mourn. But instead of celebrating all the memories you have had with that life, with that spirit, the miracles that while you were alive, you got to see. I learned this from Eric. He appreciated when he was given the death sentence, he said, no, it's my invitation to live like I've never lived. And it's exactly what he did. Yeah, he didn't get to travel. He didn't get to finish learning how to dance salsa. But he basked in the memory.
I don't think that was ever going to happen.
That he did dance salsa at the wedding. So that was something that
I was there. That was in salsa.
Yes, it was. He touched base on that.
I was
Mario
there.
saying hello from Mexico City.
What up? What up?
So it's, so that's what growing towards your purpose should be. That you've lived a life. There's been tragedies. There's been sorrows. Mm-hmm. There's been celebrations. There's been love. There's been anger.
Right.
I don't want to say hate, but there's been so many things and you survived it all. And that's cause for celebration to do right where you're standing at right now. And sometimes when you can't find or can't see or can't understand what is your purpose, mm-hmm. sit with yourself and inquire within and travel back down memory lane and see if there's a pattern. Remember I told you about the jobs we choose.
Right.
They all have something in common.
I told a friend about that job that you choose. And so he went and hurried up and looked to see all the China jobs. But we was talking about jobs and stuff. And then and one thing she had said, you can tell a lot about yourself about the jobs that you pick and the jobs that that you pick for yourself. And when you're looking for jobs, you tell a lot about yourself, which I never thought about. And not to be egotistical, when I looked at some of the jobs I've been picking, I'm like, well, shit, I think I'm going to be the president of the United States. But other jobs that when he showed me, he felt so proud about himself. When he looked at the jobs that he picks, that he puts in applications for, mm-hmm. every job, and it's not a job under 150,000. He don't pick. And this dude doesn't have a degree, but he thinks himself, he thinks his worth is over $150,000-$200,000, a year. And he just figures out, and that's how he presents himself. And that was so funny. Then I was like, a lot of people with more, mm-hmm. like, paperwork or more, degrees or accolades mm-hmm. would pick something less. And I keep telling people, it's not your degree that makes you successful. A lot of people got degrees. It's what you do with it, or who you are and how you manage yourself. You know what I'm saying? That's what makes you kind of successful. You know what I'm saying? And what you're willing to put into it. So I really like what you said. You look at yourself and look what kind of jobs that you are looking into to see really how you are with you. I dug that.
You've already been telling a story. Mm-hmm. Without saying it out loud. So go back and review your book. You've already started a book. You're on several chapters in your life, in your work ethic.
So every person's like a book. That's how you
everybody is.
Their own
Everybody's
book.
The author of their book, but they don't give themselves enough credit. They don't value what the content of the book, their tragedies, their sorrows, their accomplishments. They don't value what they've been through. You're here today mm-hmm. because of everything you've overcome in the past.
So if you look at yourself like a book, then one, it's exciting because then you can change your chapters and you can dictate the chapters and have that go. What's that, Ruthie? What's up, Ruthie?
Hello, Ruthie.
And then you can look at yourself. So if your life is kind of messed up right now, right, in your mind, then you can say, well, this is just that chapter right here, and like you said, there's a beginning and end, and then so I can kind of create my own end in that book if I do some things different. So instead of the person being stuck in that moment and can't think themselves out of it, they can also do some things that they can do differently to change that. They can change that, okay? If they look at themselves differently. But if they don't look at themselves differently, then it's going to be the same old, same old.
It is.
So what happened?
It is. Hold on, Carmen. Okay. Growing in your purpose and discovering what you were born to do is something that you've already subconsciously prepped from the past. But when you begin, when you're listening and you're wondering what is that purpose, start now. The window didn't close. You didn't pass the entrance to that chapter in your life. It's not like you can't go backwards. You shouldn't. Start now from where you are, because obviously wherever you start to be curious, if you haven't already done so, to begin searching for that purpose, is because that seed is flourishing now. So start now. It doesn't matter where you're at. It doesn't matter what's in your bank account, what type of job, even if you have a job. Don't let that fear paralyze you from your purpose. Carmen says, so since you reference purpose, what's in your 2019? Sometimes just to think it and voice it can bring it to life. Don't you have a trek coming up soon? Absolutely. Absolutely. I was thinking all about it today. And at the end of April, I have my Portugal trek, my Camino de Santiago. 2019, I want to see the breaking ground of my bookstore. The beginning of my art therapy healing with paraplegics. And my clothing line. Not to say the beginning of my workshops. And to grow this podcast and syndicate it, because that's been our plan. So that's already in the works. We have a lot of fine tuning to do, mi gente. So hang in there with us, because we're growing as we go, the same as you are. And to be fully prepared, we will miss out on a lot of things that we thought were insignificant. So when people make plans and stick to their plans, they're really missing out on those priceless diamonds and those rubies that are laying on the wayside, because you're too focused like the horse with those things on going plan forward on your plan that shouldn't really be set that thick in stone, because when you detour is when you find those priceless moments.
In two sense though, but some people who are not, I think that goes to who that person is, because like some people are the people who got the blindness on. And the reason why they put the blinders on the horse, because as soon as they hear something, they go towards it. And that's why they need it, But other people can be focused without that.
But even the ones with the blinders, you see, sometimes you have to remove them because you're missing out the beauty in the world. So when you miss out in the beauty of the world, what motivates you to keep going forward with those blinders are blocking the view of the trees, of the mountainsides, of the beautiful smiles of strangers that you're walking by. All of that takes in account as to where your journey is going.
But wouldn't that be for that person to kind of figure out what their strengths and limitations are?
Sometimes the fear is what keeps you with the blinders on. So how are you going to get to know yourself unless you free yourself?
So the person should say, because I'm telling you, some people will not do good. They'll have a sensory overload without some kind of parameter.
And I understand that. I understand that. That's what I'm saying. But sometimes, do those people truly believe in themselves enough to know that fear should not paralyze you in your quest for your purpose? For your purpose. So when you set a plan and you stick to it, guess what's going to happen? You're going to miss out on the life that is fuels your purpose. Don't get
so caught into the plan. More enjoy the process.
Enjoy the process. When you see a map and you got to go a certain way, and you got to stick to the map unless you know how to get there, right? But even though within that map, you might have to take detours, but it'll lead you back on track. And in those detours, you're gonna find that wonderful hole in the wall cafe, where it's gonna make your anxiety for having to detour dissipate. And you're going to always think back to that trip. And you're going to always remember that cafe you might have never seen. No.
You're right. When I was in Missouri. And when I was in Missouri, I got off the side of the road. And I saw a Waffle House that had all you can eat for $5. I've never seen that in my life. Okay. And as soon as I walked in there was not a black person in there. As soon as I walked in, the man turned around and said, "I know what you want." And I said, "What?" He said, "Chicken." And I said, "Oh, I mean, he was right. That's what I was looking for. Was chicken." I know he tried to be a racist asshole, but that had the best meal I ever had. I never found the place again. I looked for it again when I was in Missouri. But you're right. That what a wonderful trip that was. I got to meet some new people, do something different. So if I had to just stay on that.
And someone tickled you deep within. Someone tickled that inner child in you that never let you. And those are the seasonal people from the Reason Season Lifetime. And would you be able to have witnessed that miracle in life of the Reason Season Lifetime if you don't take a damn detour and take those blinders off? Carmen says that, yes, sometimes the journey becomes your purpose when you didn't even know that's where you were going. Absolutely. We are scared and not confident. We must trust the process. Absolutely. And that's by removing those blinders from time to time and trusting your gut instinct.
Is the process higher power driven, self-driven, or is it or is it trusting that if I continue to move in a direction that's positive or right or even healthy, that things will kind of materialize to something better?
I think that's your own personal choice as to where you want to lay that at. As I said in other ones through Mary Kay, it's God first, then me, then everyone else. So I believe the process is working in conjunction with the knowledge of knowing that God would never lead you astray. And if you follow your heart and your gut instinct, it's like you're following the guidance of God to lead you exactly where you need to be. When we take it up in our own hands and we push forward, when everything's trying to, like when we're pushing against the current so hard that we're not listening to our bodies that are breaking down, we're not listening to the destruction, we're causing the chaos in our homes, in our jobs, to our family, then you know that's not a purpose driven from God. You know, that's not where you're supposed to go.
Right.
And the powers that be are trying to let you know, stop. But when you want to be thick-headed and think you know it all and you keep going, then you are the reason for your own demise.
And it's funny, like I've been on a journey doing something I had no business doing, and I got really sick. What up, Stephanie?
Hello, Alf.
And I told myself I was dog sick and I was doing shit I had no business doing. And I said, well, I know I'm supposed to be doing it, and if I'm still sick tomorrow, I'm gonna stop this and I'm gonna go home. And I woke up the next day more healthier than just full of energy and vibrant. I said, well, I guess it's not meant for me to stop. My body was telling me a long time ago it needed to stop. I needed to stop this nonsense, all this self-destructive nonsense I was on. And I just could not see that was the thing to do at the time. Until I got stopped and I couldn't do it, and I had to kind of pay the piper. But until that point, I was just on a terrible journey. And would not relinquish that. I would not come to terms with that was unhealthy. So when you get like that, what is the reason why you think a person doesn't come to terms with that? That's unhealthy.
Yeah, but those are a lot of those are a lot of trauma from childhood. Those are fears of abandonment. Those are fears of admitting that you're wrong. Those are narcissistic values that all the cards are laid out in front of you telling you need to stop. And you're being so thick-headed and you're going forward and thinking that you know better until you fall on your face. And then you want to blame everyone around you for not telling you to stop. And that's the biggest problem in society, is that your truth, you feel it in your gut. You ignore it. And then it's hiding in plain sight in your face for you to acknowledge it. And you still look over it because you only want to see what makes you feel better. Right. You don't want, because you're too lazy to deal with what you have to clean up, what you have to arrange a little, or what you have to eliminate. So when all that happens, then you want to blame someone, and the understanding, but the purpose of your life moving forward is in your trust in God and in your trust in self. I cannot guide you towards your purpose and make you see it. I can only give you some pointers and keep asking you questions, but you have to be the driver.
Right. What I have to give you, in order for me to follow your instructions or anybody's instructions, I have to kind of give you permission to do so. You know what I'm saying? And I think people don't understand how much power they have within themselves, that they have to. You have like Dorothy. You always had the power to go home. Okay, you always had the power. You just never knew that it was there. And it was God given. It was given to you.
What do you think they are? I think it's fear. I think it's laziness not to do the work and hope for a positive outcome. A lot of people are too lazy to get up and do the work and clear their path. They'll wait till someone tries to come pick up the stones and lay down the pavement, or they don't want to do it. They just want to walk across it. Then they get upset when no one shows up, or when their window of opportunity closes. Then it's everyone else's fault. Hello, every love. So again, your purpose is just that. What is it? It is your purpose.
Right.
Everybody's purpose not the same.
I told my sons, I say, how many times you gonna keep letting these opportunities come past you? And they're like, well, it's not opportunities. You making it so, Rocky. and you're making it, well, we need to have our own opportunities. And I'm thinking, well, if I open the door for you to kind of walk through, that's your opportunity still. But then I remember the horse, yeah. Or the prodigal son story, you know, and gentlemen, good shot, Evie. Okay. and how no matter what, you know, as a father, my job is just to have the door open whenever he decides to get out of the wilderness. And then the other part is that I don't want my son to go through that journey because I'm trying to teach him not to, or all my sons. But then, you know, it's almost necessary that they do their own
the rites of passage.
Yeah. And then I get angry that they're going through it. But that's their right to do that.
But you got to remember too, you are who you are today because you had to go through something that lit that firecracker up your ass. So if we're constantly sheltering our children,
but it was so painful.
If you're constantly sheltering your children, not to experience this, offer this or that, how are they gonna grow up? Bendición, Titi. How are they gonna grow up and know how to deal with life? They're going to break down the first job they get fired to. First of all, they're going to feel entitled and walk in anytime they want. Then they're going to get fired and feel like it's everybody else's fault. So we're creating monsters. Sometimes a child, we must be there to help them get up. But sometimes we must let our children fall on their face because they need to taste the blood. They need to have those salty tears roll down their cheeks. They need to know that unless they put 100% into achieving what they want and what they need in life, they're never going to value it. They're not going to value it. They're going to always do just enough to fall back and come to you. And then you're going to feel like, again, you have to assist them. I think poor parenting is not disciplining your child. And it is not letting them deal with the consequences of their choices.
And, you know, and
that's poor parenting.
You know, right, but you know, that's easier said than done.
No, I've done it.
Okay, but I'm saying for the masses, everybody but Superwoman, which is you.
I'm
okay,
not.
Okay, no, you know, everybody but Superwoman.
No.
But I think it is very difficult. If I see my son drowning, you know what I'm saying? It's almost
No, I'm not talking about that devastation. I'm saying
I'm not saying drowning literally in a pool of water.
Then you gotta let them hit rock bottom.
But I'm saying, you know, drowning in decisions, drowning in bad choices, drowning in I see him drowning, and it's a difficult task for me to let it happen, which I'm doing right now, and not totally fix it for them. I don't know if
that's something that you're gonna have to work on.
I know that's me.
And you're gonna have to restrain yourself because your children are not children anymore, and they're ready to be fully into society, and you're doing them a disservice.
Know that.
Then
I know I'm enabling. I know it.
So to say I don't want to hit my kid or no,
I ain't saying
I'm saying the parents that say that it's poor parenting. If you gotta slap that kid on the ass, do it. You make sure that kid respects you at home, because when he leaves home, if he doesn't respect you, he's not gonna respect anyone else. Okay? And in today's society, they can get shot for that. So you have to be very much aware of your surroundings, of what society is like today, and raise your children accordingly.
Edie said, how do you tell them they can't stay with you because you have no room availability? Get the hell out.
Exactly, just like that.
You remember how to do that? You remember how to do that? And it hurt me. It hurt me to my core, but you had, homie, you got to go. One thing I'm learning, the more I let them stay, the more they stay.
Yes.
And I'm learning
the less they're going to
do.
Grow.
Right. And the best thing my mother ever did for me was put my ass out. Okay. When I pulled up to the house, all my stuff was packed. Money was in the hand. A cab drove up. My dad took the stuff, put it in the cab. He put me in the cab and sent it on. I mean, it was painful, but so necessary.
It's hard to know when to practice tough love. Tough love should always be first, because remember, it ends in love.
But when we don't do that, then we are stopping them from finding their purpose.
We're preventing them from growing into the full person they were born to be, because the laziness sets in, the entitlement sets in, all those demons rush in to take control of what God put that person on this planet.
Do you think that happens for us in our own insecurities, and we're trying to vicariously live things through them in a sense?
It can be many things. I think it's all of that.
And then I think us feeling that, maybe I didn't do it right, so I'm going to try to make it happen right through them kind of deal. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. We all, and I'm guilty of that. And it wasn't until I wish Tiffany was on, moving to Waterbury with the man you don't want to be with.
Damn, Evie, what we talking about?
Listen, I didn't know that until Tiffany and I were having a conversation. Tiffany's my daughter. I wish she was on. She was having a conversation with her brother, my son Robert, and they were discussing their upbringing. And she apologized to me because she said growing up, they didn't know what it was to struggle because, just like Byron said, growing up with nothing, growing up with my mother buying us 3 sets of outfits for the beginning of the school year and not getting anything until we got 1 outfit for Thanksgiving, 1 for Christmas, and 1 for Easter. That was our school wardrobe. So for my children, I didn't do that. Every other week they got sneakers. Every other week they got an outfit. They were always in flow. And she says it wasn't until she was older that she noticed that I never bought myself anything. And if I did, I would do it at the thrift shop.
Finish your thought. Don't stop.
So to hear her now reflect on that and actually acknowledging it without me having to say, oh, I did all this for you, I sacrificed all that, because I would never do that. Because we do what we do because it's what we choose. Sometimes it's not the right thing. But I didn't show to them. My kids saw it all. They saw the fighting. They saw the different genders. And I didn't show to my kids from reality. But, we can't, but I still disciplined them. They got hit, they got punished, they got toys thrown away when they were left anywhere outside of their bedroom. I didn't care for that.
Well, I seen that real quick. She said, loving her kids unconditionally. Now, I don't know. Unconditionally to me means that no matter what, and I might have it wrong. You help me out with this. Because in my mind, unconditional means that whatever happens, I'm going to deal with. Or unconditional means that no matter what you do, I'm going to still love you. That don't mean I'm going to support you and all your shit.
Listen,
you know what I'm saying?
There's unconditional love could be you don't want to offend your child, so you allow them to continue the disruptive behavior that they're doing into adulthood. So then now you have a stream of, I feel bad. I don't want to tell them this, because of that. No, you know what? I'd rather my children be upset with me and let them fester with whatever it was that we discussed. They can hate me. They can be upset. But the bottom line is they're going to come back and they're going to realize that if they're not super stubborn, and if they are, that's, again, is their issue. As a parent, I'm here to guide my children. I'm here to let them know you're wrong. If you continue to do this, I'm going to beat you down, and then we're going to work it. And my kids are grown, but they know that I will still do whatever I have to do to keep them on the right track.
So when we're saying this, because we're still doing the purpose, the 7 reasons why purpose matters. Because if we're kind of off point on our purpose, it kind of like spills over to our kids in a sense, and they kind of lose their purpose in a sense, because we're in that kind of not like, that light that, what we said.
But why do we get misled to our purpose when we're parents? Because we get filled with guilt because we can't do everything for our children. Mm-hmm. You're not supposed to. You were supposed to raise them, feed them, clothe them, teach them about God, teach them how to be respectful.
I used to think it's very hard because, not very hard. You just got to learn. When I was younger, when it was time to discipline the child, I was always told, this is what I learned, is that when you got to take something from them, are you taking it or did they earn it? You know what I'm saying? And then I had to start they didn't earn that. So it's not, I'm not taking it from them. They didn't earn it. And then I had to kind of get my mind into that. But going back to the purpose-driven piece is that the more I kind of figured me out, the easier it becomes for me to kind of help and assist them.
Absolutely. That is exactly what we're talking about.
So we have to get to the point of really having an understanding of us and be willing to attack us in a sense, and really learn about us before we even try to do anything. But like you said, that beginning and the end and all that middle to kind of, I'm going to go back to that book piece because I love it. If we will all think of ourselves as a book and we just on certain chapters, how amazingly exciting that becomes. Because if I'm only on chapter 7, damn, I might have another 7 chapters to go. And what can I fill in those chapters? Okay? What can I put that could be so devastatingly awesome in those chapters?
Well, because you have 86,400 seconds deposited into your life every single day.
Jesus.
Can you imagine in let's say 12 hours that you're awake, 14 hours you're awake, you can fill many chapters. You have a lifelong opportunity of chapters to grow. And when you do know what your purpose is, then it's easier to water the seeds that God has granted you with, which is your children. But in watering them and tending to them, then you got to let them grow as they were meant to. If you shelter them, if you find excuses for them, if you're nurturing to death where they can't do anything unless they rely on you, what have you done for them? And what have you done for you? Parents who shelter their kids and enable their children, when they are not able to do that,
right,
what's going to happen to those kids who are incapable of taking care of themselves?
They're useless.
How are they going to function in a society that expects them to pull their weight?
Before we go right into that purpose piece, 2 things I saw. Permissive parenting. Kim had wrote that, and he said that the people are smoking, getting high with their kids as children, and then to me, I go back almost to abuse with that. Your inability to set boundaries does that, but that's you not understanding your purpose. Goes back to the purpose. That's why you're so easily moved and swayed. We talk about the ambient noise.
And who's smoking reefer with their kids now? It's the ones that are younger than we are. Let's give or take 10 years younger than us, right? 10, well, in their 30s, parents who are in their 30s that are getting high with their kids. That's the generation where the government stepped in and told parents how to parent their children.
And you can't discipline them.
You can't discipline them, or they were taken away, or you get arrested. So guess what happened?
I guess we're the last of that being that.
They got lost.
We're the last of the ass whooping crew, huh?
No, my children are still part
so
of
they'll
that.
be the last of it. After that.
But there's still that age group of these parents that are smoking with their kids nowadays. So they're like between 30 to 40 years old. They're setting an example that they cut the legs off from the knees to these kids to move forward, right? But it was in society when the government got involved and told people how to parent. They tried to do that with me. My kids try to come home talk about, if you hit me, I'm going to call 911. Well, let me kick your ass now. You call 911. I'll do it again.
Right.
So what happens?
I'm not going to let you hold me hostage.
So, yeah. So that's something, unfortunately, that's something that happened, right? And the mess is now, because now there's no respect towards our teachers. There's no respect towards the elderly. These kids run around like.
And then it's a loss of purpose. When we, again, like I said, we're connecting all that back to not having purpose. Okay. Real quick, I just want to run some news off to you all. We're gonna.
Yes, I know it's not the age. I'm just saying, in that time, the values were lost.
Values make the difference.
Because fear was set in that if these parents disciplined their kids the way they normally did, DCF will get involved or
well, let me read some. Let me just. I just run that. We'll do the news last. But so let's do this. 7 reasons why purpose matters. And listen up. Number 1, it provides a sense of meaning and calls us to grow. When a person doesn't have purpose, now we talking about when we don't have purpose, how it permeates or how it just goes out to the kids, family members, and everything else. Because remember, a lot of us are deacons or leaders in our family. So when we're not focused and don't have kind of direction, it misdirects other folks.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. So it provides a sense of meaning and calls us to grow. Okay. And calls us to grow. That don't mean when you getting called upon, that don't mean that you're going to answer the call. Okay. So just because, it's set up for you to grow, that don't mean you are going to start growing. There can be no purpose without value. I don't. Well, Kim said this. Kim said there can be no purpose without value. I don't know. It depends on what your purpose is, and what your value is. Values. I think we
sometimes
get caught,
they grow together.
Right. But see, your values might not be my values, okay? Or that other person's values not. In every group, every subgroup, or every subculture is going to create their own values and systems and things of that nature. And what you might see as something that will work for you, now might not work for you somewhere else. Okay. So, so I think that might be subjective. So, I mean, well, let's be careful. They said no purpose, no value. Yeah, I guess we'll move on. I digress. Okay. Number 2, it's about who we are, the values we want to express, and the character we want to embody. That goes back to I said, what is the norm for the group? What does the group accept? Okay. And then a lot of times you might not, because remember, you might be in a group and that group might have a value system that's not, while you're growing, from your growth, you might say that group doesn't work for me anymore.
Yes.
Does that make sense? Because you say you're going to cut a lot of people off and start some new stuff and not have the same baggage of some people who are not moving in the correct direction. So then your value system, you're changing some things up. Okay. So it's not the same. It's not the same. Okay. Number 3, it guides us and keeps us focused on what is most important, both short term and long term. Okay. I'm just going over, that's what we had did last week. I just wanted to do those 3, but I'm going to shoot right on over for how to connect your purpose. Now listen to this. Take time to reflect. Think about personal and professional experience. The light that lights you up. Do you notice consistent themes? Roles you have played. Kind of what you was saying before about a person and the roles that they played. That if a person's not mindful of the roles that they play or things that they're doing, they kind of get lost in the shuffle. You know what I'm saying? You got to be really mindful of where you're at and what you're doing.
Of course. You have to be like you get up and you want to go somewhere. You have to want to grow. You might not necessarily know exactly what your purpose is, but you know you have to get up, dress up, and show up.
Right. I like that. That was so on point there. When we go back to about you being courageous and resilient, when you are being a leader in your home, how that makes you take more risks and overcome fears. I just want to touch on that because the person was saying to me that I don't see how me being me finding my purpose puts me in a position where I gotta be the one to make the decisions, or I gotta be the one. You know what I'm saying? I said, well, maybe in your family, that's not your purpose. Okay. But for you, you're going to have to make some courageous decisions for yourself. Okay. So if you was a person who had been abused when you was younger, now this is going to be the time when you tell yourself, you know what? No, I'm not sitting around for that. I'm going to get off that. That happened then, and this is now. So to me, that courageous and resilience is actually doing something different than was before. So willing to say, this is working for me. It's a change in the chapter. It's change. So you know what? Some people get so stuck into a chapter, they don't come off of it. I know some people I have family members who would tell you about how terrible life was when they was a teenager. And they're still stuck on how terrible it was as a teenager and they're 50 years old and have not moved from that.
Yep. Closed minds. Paralyzed with fear. No direction, no ambition.
Wow. When you don't have a purpose-driven life, it becomes our legacy. Leaders with purpose go to sleep at night feeling like it was a well-lived day. Purpose is bigger than us, and it will outlast us. Because when you work on purpose and people are seeing that, then what they can do is gravitate towards that. And when they gravitate towards that, it changes the dynamic of your whole structure. And I really find that funny that when we don't take the time to look at our purpose, it's almost like we're denying ourselves our own growth. And when we, you know what I'm saying, we're denying ourselves that. We're not allowing ourselves the key to unlock all that energy, all that love.
Because who has the power to launch you forward?
You.
Who is the one that gets you up every morning, even though you don't feel like it? You have to have the self-trust to know that even though there's so many rocks in that road and it's not as paved for you to cross it easily, it's still for you to go and cross over those all those obstacles.
It says discover your special abilities and aptitudes and find opportunities to put them to meaningful work. Just like you're doing right here, just like you guys are taking the time to sit there and listen to what we're saying, and saying, you know what, I want to learn a little something today. And we learn from you all. What he said is perfection, Western thought, or Afrocentric. Thank you, Kim. We got Kim. You need to come on, sit down.
Rocky says sometimes, as a parent of grown children, it's self-preservation.
Yeah, you're right. Sometimes you just need to cut things off.
You do,
and you need to cut things off, and if you don't, right.
And you can't. As a parent, you are causing more damage and enabling your children to continue down a lazy road. And if you cut them off, a
purposeless road.
Yes,
right.
And if you cut them off, or you pull back a bit, you're forcing them to look at life through different lenses. And guess what? Most of the time, they'll thank you for it because they were not aware of what possibilities they had within them to bring forth, because they were comfortable, they were coddled. So if you allow them to step outside that door and let the wind hit them in the face, and yeah, they're going to be afraid, but more than not, they're going to love that chapter that you forced them into. They're going to hate you at first, but they're going to love, because they're going to see so many possibilities that were just laying dormant inside of them. Trust me, it's what happens.
Yeah, which is true. Real quick, because we got to the 20-minute mark. I'm just going to run. We're going to finish it up with that, but I'm going to run some quick news going down. So if you're listening, we're just going to change the pace for 2 seconds and go over some news. And I just want to talk about some things. The news. Yeah. TSA. Everybody knows we got the 30-day shutdown. 32, 33. And the TSA folks are making a plea to Trump to stop this. And, all the politicians to stop it. And to come up with something for they can get their checks.
So the TSA at the airport, where we have been attacked through the airplanes, they're not getting paid.
Right. At all. But now it's almost 870,000 employees, it said. That's a lot of employees not getting paid. So they're opening up food banks around the country. And this is what I've heard from some insider track information, that people had started to give donations to TSA workers, put like a tip jar, and they took the money and didn't allow them to get it. They said they couldn't have it for whatever reasons, bribery, whatever they could deem it as. But still, these people don't have money. These people don't have food.
And they're still showing up to work.
Still showing up to work. I mean, so it's just funny that to me, this is just another attack on the middle class. Okay. And it's so funny. You have people, back in the days, if you worked hard, and, in some areas, if you worked hard.
Hola, Johnny Man.
What up, girl? If you worked hard and you did your things right, you might have a pension, things like that. Our economy and the way that things are set up, is not set up anything like that now. So no matter how much you work, if you're a middle class person is only one check from a bum.
Mm-hmm. From homelessness.
Yeah. And that's crazy how, if two people in the family are working, they're talking about, make America great again. I don't.
This isn't geared towards that.
It's not geared towards that. It's totally not anything set up for the middle class person to actually prosper. So what I would like for people to do is kind of not get caught into politics more so than trying to figure out what can you do to kind of reinvent yourself to make sure you're not into this kind of, he said, yep, we're fucked. I would say that we are and we're not. Okay. Because, when a problem presents itself, it gives us an opportunity to look at two things. What can we do? You can either turn it into an opportunity or stay in the problem. So I'm saying, we're in this flux right now. So then there's some opportunities around. So I would tell people to be bold and looking at those opportunities. There's something that you can do to kind of reinvent yourself. Like we said, you open a coffee shop. You know what I'm saying? So I like that because coffee is always cheap. Coffee is always something people gonna, even if they broke, they're gonna do. So then that's dollars and cents coming in just the same. So then, because you don't like to work anyway. So since, you know what I mean. But
yes, Charlie, but you do have to work two jobs to live.
And he said structural racism. Yeah, sometimes I think we can get away from racism and go into class systems. It doesn't have a color to it more so than based off of economic prowess and economic and where you're at economically. So I think that's where we're at right now. The haves and the have-nots and the have-not-nots. You know what I'm saying? So I think we're there.
Which is,
right. So people, I really...
Well, just since you're talking about that, I was looking at a map the other day. I was with someone, and it showed, the whole map like this, and Australia was down here. So I was like, oh my God, look at, we were here, and I flew from here, and I went all the way to the other side of the world, blah, blah. And then they're like, ugh. They walked up to the map, and they said, this is America, and Trump is building the wall, not to keep them out, but to keep us in. Makes you think, though, right?
Well, Trump building the wall to keep us in? Well, I'm sure. I mean, one thing I'm finding out that we have a bigger world than we think it is. You know what I'm saying? I think sometimes, Americans get caught into living in America. Like when I lived in New York, I thought everything in New York was New York. I thought New York was the entire world. Seriously. I thought New York was it wasn't in New York. It was, and then when I started traveling, I'm like, well, New Orleans is great. And Atlanta is awesome. And, but if you don't go anywhere and you're in your bubble, you create your own reality. And so I think, being isolated is something Americans, would like to do. But the world's not going to allow us to stay isolated. Economically, it's not going to happen. So I think people need to learn how to be diverse and to be open. So say, I love New Orleans. Me too. That's off the chain. Not the same as before Katrina, but all good anyway. Next news. We're talking about workers not getting donations. I was going to say something about R. Kelly, but I was told we're censored on that.
No, R. Kelly.
Okay, I'm taking that off.
I don't know why you insist.
The loss of the middle class and volunteers in Arizona are facing charges. We talked about that earlier. Okay, for leaving food for people who are coming across the border. So we got 4 people who are in a group that help feed people coming across the border because people are starving because they're coming and being smuggled in, and they have no food. So then it's a group of Americans that actually kind of intercedes and make sure that food is given to those immigrants or those whatever you would call them coming in from out of the country. They was caught doing so in a federal park. Once they got caught, they were actually charged for numerous charges placed against them. Now, and my brain said, now how are we charging people for giving out food to anybody?
To feeding a hungry person.
To feeding a hungry person. This is a big thing going on in Arizona. And what they're trying to do, like you talked about it before, they're trying to set it up that they have people so fearful to help folks. So if the person does, how could we deny a person some food if they're hungry? Exactly. I don't care if they was even a criminal. If they was hungry, then as a human being, it's my job to make sure that they fed. You know what I'm saying? I didn't say they had to run wild across the country, but you know what I'm saying? I didn't say they had to go, like Trump, sooner, the crazy immigrants are raping and killing everybody. But they still need to get fed. And then, you know what I'm saying? And so I think that, we're becoming so intolerant. We want to become so intolerant that you scare people to not even assist and help people in times of need. I think that's crazy. I think that's something that, we need to look at.
That's exactly what they're doing. They charge these individuals. They're going to use the premise that they were in a federal park, but it is to scare off anyone else who is willing to assist these people coming into the country illegally. And we're all children of God. and it doesn't matter. Just like when God, a sin is a sin, right?
Right.
So it doesn't matter. Plus, how could you deny anybody food? I mean, karma. I mean, going forward, how can you pray to be blessed with certain things if you're not reaching out, giving a hand up to somebody who's hungry? That's like the worst thing.
What's it? Where are you, Margarita?
I'm right here. I'm listening. I'm just listening. It's his news piece. So I really don't talk during his news piece.
Wow.
It's like she just came on. She didn't hear me before.
Oh, yeah.
I spoke earlier, Mama. Hola, Marina. So, in doing, yeah, so that's what it is. And I say, again, towards Kim, your values and your morals, you should always have a value to always have a compassionate heart and a kind word to somebody, regardless of their race, creed, color, gender, whatever. It costs you nothing to be kind. It costs you nothing to hand over a piece of bread to somebody. Because you never know when your mother, your siblings, or your children can be hungry somewhere out of your reach, and you're going to pray that somebody's kind enough to feed them.
Last but not least, Puerto Rico received lopsided hurricane disaster compared to Texas and Florida. They did a huge study on how much Puerto Rico did not receive in funds and aid compared to all the other states.
Mm-hmm.
So in all other provinces, all the American territories, they received the most least amount of help or anything. And then the Trump administration is like, that's not true. But they just put out the numbers. They pulled the numbers. And the numbers don't lie. Numbers don't lie. You know what I'm saying? Any hustler tell you numbers don't lie. And it didn't lie. And they didn't respond.
No, they're going to try and brush it under the rug.
Right, they didn't respond. So, so a lot of people say, well, what are we going to do about it? Well, only thing I can tell you, just like you said, that kind heart, that kind word, doing something extra, putting yourself out there, that's really, to me, what gets things going. You know what I'm saying?
And it's not even to get a thank you. You do it because you're human. You do it because it's a compassion. I mean, you have to be void of emotion not to want to feed someone. It don't matter. If they were in a federal national park in Arizona, they're already in the country.
Right. So feed them. So how could you say that I'm not going to feed them?
And then handle how... Thank you, Marina. And then handle how you're going to take care of them afterwards. But feed them first.
Feed them.
I'm so glad you brought that story up because that's sad and people need to know the TSA... They protect us. The TSA are there to protect and make sure nothing harmful gets on any of those planes. What is the government thinking not to pay these people?
Right. And then he said...
After the catastrophe of the Twin Towers.
And then Trump said that, well, they could just... They're on my team. And let me tell you, any person who's on that team, then I guess you're getting what you deserve. Okay? And if you're not on the team, then, I don't think... For me... It makes no difference what political party you're in, okay? No, food is food.
You're showing up to work.
Right, you need to get paid get paid. Now they said, well, they'll get a big check at the end. Somebody, somebody telling me they're gonna pay me at the end of something doesn't work for me. You know what I'm saying?
Let me tell you something. And if any TSA is watching, I just want to say I honor you and I respect you for showing up every day to a job that you don't foresee a check in the near future. That speaks volumes about the type of person you are.
Your integrity.
That says that you do this out of love for your fellow co-worker, for the people coming in there, and for your country. And that speaks a whole lot more than what other people are doing for their country.
Well, it says everyone was created. Oh, what up, Ron? To have compassion.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And what? I can't read today.
It says everyone was created to have compassion, and God allows us to have tribulation for opportunity to demonstrate our compassion. Yes.
Demonstrate, yeah. It's go out your comfort zone and do something. Somebody told me, well, I don't want to give people stuff like a bum in the street. I don't want to give them because they're going to take the money and
it don't matter.
What does it, I heard some great things. Like some people get gift cards, right? And they leave them in their car. So if they see somebody, they just give them a gift card. They'd rather give them a gift card, like a $5 gift card from McDonald's, rather than giving them money because they feel better.
You're still judging. See, you feel better. You know what?
But you're gonna, it comes. It's a tour. It's a twofer. There's never a time that you're gonna give without you feeling good too. You're gonna get a reward from giving. You do. Everybody gets it. It's inherent. If you give somebody $1, you feel better. Okay. And if that makes you feel good, cool. But when you don't give it to them because you think that they're gonna do something with it,
you're prejudging.
Then now you're prejudging.
So now, why are you even doing it?
But listen, I
would rather you not give than say, "Oh, I'd rather buy them a sandwich." And then when they refuse, because they're homeless, don't mean they're gonna trust any sandwich a stranger's giving to them.
No, but I like that the idea of having that gift card. That was cool. You know what I'm saying? Like some place that has some pizza places. When we did that thing, the story on the pizza place, that one person would buy the pizza and then put the thing up there, and then it was doing that. That was a nice gesture because you're right. I don't want nobody touching my food, even if I'm homeless. I don't know what they did to it, but if I could go get a piece of pizza for and didn't have to pay for it,
that's fine. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying is when people and then they feel good about themselves. Oh, I don't want to give them money because I don't want to be.
Helping them with their drug use.
Yeah,
right.
Part of
Right.
Their problem with the drug abuse or whatever. So if that makes you feel good and you're trying to give them something so that to make sure that they eat, fine. But you know what? The prejudging has to stop because, as you said earlier, we're all one paycheck away from being homeless.
One.
So for these, for people to drive by or roll their window up, I talk to them. I'll say, I don't got nothing right now. And sometimes I make an effort and go back. Because you build a connection. You share that story about the woman stopping that woman. I still lower my window and give, because
being careful and is one thing, but you should be mindful also. I want you to be careful, but we got to kind of open up and and do what we need to do to uplift the other person. Going back to purpose. What pride is always just on the surface. What he said?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He says that there's good and evil are two sides of the same coin. Both are sins. Tree of knowledge of good and evil. Pride is always on the surface. Yes.
Yeah. Last but not least, on the piece of purpose, and only I want you to, we're going to finish it up on this, is how do you want your contributions to be remembered? When you have a purpose-driven life and you have purpose, then you're going to do certain things. You're going to contribute to to society, to your family, whatever. It's good if where you're working on your purpose and trying to mold yourself. Always think back on I always tell my sons, you can bet when you get older, you can never say my dad showed me this wrong. Mm-hmm. You will never have the opportunity to say my dad showed me this wrong. That ain't going to happen. Okay. So to me, that's my legacy for them. That they can't sit back in the room and say, you remember he did, or he remember he did that, or he remember he did that, because my contribution to you.
They learn more how to watch.
Right. So I made sure that I emulated, or even when I didn't want to be a role model, even when I did not want to do that. Okay. So because I wanted them to have a purpose, and vicariously through me, I wanted to be on point. So in the end, everybody, I just want you to understand how do you want to be remembered? What do you want to do in your life to change things for you and for your family, but mainly you. Remember, if we have a book and we have chapters in it, you have to be bold enough to say, let me change this chapter and put something in it.
Or I've done this wrong. I've been doing this wrong, and acknowledge it. Remember, you have to acknowledge it so that you can accept it. And then you can change it. Without acknowledging that there's something wrong, that there is a problem, you will not accept that you need to learn or go a different route. And how are you going to change it? How are you going to celebrate your growth if you don't accept your failures and know that you can flip it and make it change for the better and get back on that road towards your purpose? Hello, Doc Hardy. Welcome.
Hey.
So with that, I guess it's time. I want to thank you all for coming on, sharing your point of view. We'll be back on Thursday. On Thursday, 8 o'clock. So, mi gente, namaste. We'll see you Thursday. Love yourself. Trust yourself. Always be honest with yourself. Adios. Buenas noches. From la Margarita
And your boy, bro. And your boy, yeah. No,
I'm guard on that one.
You did that so smooth.
Yeah.
That was you, girl. You getting real good. Hey, sugar nuts. And listen, we love y'all. Thank y'all for coming out tonight. We will blow y'all up on Thursday. If anything happens, we'll let you know. Thank y'all. We appreciate y'all.
Yes, we do.
God bless.
Buenas noches.
Good night.